let's talk about this assignment. This is assignment 6. Have the answers right here. See that? There you go. There you go. That's all you get.
It's good enough.
Yeah, that's all you get. All right. I know some of you are having issues. It's not one of you. Trust me. There was quite a few. That's why I finally sent. I think yesterday I sent the email out. Wasn't it?
Yeah, I was very happy about that.
I'm like, wow. I said, seriously. So I looked. I'm like, nobody had submitted yet. I'm like, but then but I knew some were working on it because I said, you know what? I'll give you some more time for this. But
I didn't see that email until this morning after I turned it in, sort of.
I was there working, sending you all emails literally while watching TV last night because I found out the app. See, Wednesday while I was at that conference, the app for campus is actually really nice. Very nice to use.
There's an app?
Oh, it's amazing.
Is it on the Google Play Store?
Yeah, it's on Google and well, first of all, why would you have the Google Play?
Yeah,
Really
I
well.
should
Oh, I got that.
I was using
Yeah, it's really
the
good.
browser for
Well, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it works really, really good. So if you already submitted it and would like to submit it again, you can. Because I can send the date to Wednesday. Like I told some of you, I don't know who, I talked to a couple different people. Everything you need has already been given to you. Okay? Let me explain what I mean by that. Okay? Friday night. Friday night, my wife's getting ready to leave and go to Houston to visit some relatives. They want to change the oil on the car. Okay? This pertains to this project, believe it or not. And years ago, I used to do all my own work on the cars, but I'm trying to get the kids to be involved. I want the kids like to rotate tires and stuff because it's a good thing to know. Like how to change. Do y'all know how to change oil?
No, not for free.
It's not hard to do, especially on a Prius. It's so easy. Well, I'm showing everyone how to do it, how to jack the car up and how to get it all out. But with programming, you know everything already. Like we learned a patent, okay? You just need to know how to implement it into this program, okay? It's kind of like using a wrench to change. No, a wrench is a wrench. I don't care if you're loosening the drain plug or if you're loosening a tire lug or whatever you're doing. Using a wrench is the same thing. Working with a list, I don't care if it's in this program or another program. Working with a list is still a list, okay? But no, we had a big argument because couldn't figure out how to jack up the car. It's like, seriously? We've done this before. Okay. So let's talk about how this should work to begin with, okay? Now, you have that DICE program. Remember this? This DICE program? I think I did part of it in class, didn't I?
You went over how you would import random.
Okay. So we did that a little bit. Let's talk about, though, how first thing it says randomly choose the number of sides of a dice. Okay. We know random already. We import random, which we've done up here, right here. What that does for us is brings in the capability to use random. So if ever you need to use random again in your life with Python, you need that statement. I don't care if it's this program, the next program. The only reason I do random a lot is it's easier than me have to type in 200 values. Okay? So that gives us the ability to use random. Now, I could very easily right here just assign a number. But by using random, it assigns it for me. And the way you use it, you say random.randint, which means the random class, random integer between 6 and 11. So it'll be 6 to 10. I think it's 6 to 10. Isn't it on this one?
6, 12.
6
Yeah, 6 to 12.
That's right, because we're increasing it 1 down here. That's why we're increasing it 1 down there somewhere. But, so the first part of the problem is randomly pick the number of sides, okay? So, where is sides on this one? Where did I end off on this one anyway? Let's see how this, I haven't played with this in a while. Actually, I'd like to work with, you know what, let me work with the original one. Let me download it again, because I don't want to work with one I already messed with. Let me download this again. That way, in case you've done nothing,
Just haven't seen
Not
it.
saying you've done nothing. In case you've done nothing, we're gonna have it available. Okay, copy, put it in my desktop, your Python. You see it? Where is it? There it is. And paste. Oh,
It keeps uploading the document. Didn't notice.
we're gonna call it Dice 2, just in case I want to go. You can show me in a minute. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is import random. Now, we always do it at the top. Why do we do it at the top? Does anyone know?
So it's already defined.
All right, so it's already defined, so we can use it. And even if you don't have to, in some languages you don't have to. It's always a good idea if you do it at the top, that way you just know where that stuff's done. It's always at the top of a program. And if you're not sure you did it right, just run the darn thing, okay? So many people try to write an entire program, then try to run it. I was grading a Java program this morning. The guy submitted 74 errors. I'm like, how did you possibly write this entire program? And I don't know if you know anything about Java, but all statements require a semicolon. He missed a semicolon on every single statement. So it's not like he wrote the whole thing, then hit compile. It's kind of like, can you imagine first time ever building a car and then turn it on? No, you want to test each component, make sure it all works together. But it's like, oh my God, why?
Well, my experience with Java is if you miss one semicolon, it still produces.
Right, that's what I kind of thought originally. Because what happens when it hits the first one? So I thought maybe he missed one. No, he missed like tons of them. So I basically said, there are way too many errors here to grade this. Because, yeah, that's crazy. Okay, so now this is the number of sides. You agree with that? So what we're going to do, we're going to change this to be the number of sides. So I'm going to say counters equals count input. I'm leaving the other line there. That way I can always see what they had in there originally. And that's the line. Now the numbers we want, we did 6 to 11, didn't we? What the heck does that return? Let's find out.
I thought it was rammed in.
Yeah, that's not gonna.
Oh, sorry.
I read it.
I would have figured that out. Because I would have hit this. It would have been like, random is not ran in. Oh, it's ran in. Good guess.
Still wrong.
Rand.
Yeah, you got the data.
Rand,
And the I is capitalized.
lowercase.
I'm testing you all.
And
Oh, still again.
I
Okay, got that one done. Okay. So this time we ended up with 7, but I want to do something real quick. I want to take this statement, this window. I really hate working with one screen.
Always did paste correctly this time. Yes. Didn't last time.
Y'all know how to write a for loop?
Mhm.
How to write a for loop? To go 100 times. Let's go 100. Know how you do a for loop?
Yeah.
I just want to make sure this random's working. Okay, it worked perfectly. It looks like it went from 6 to 11. Do you agree with that?
Correct.
Okay, so it's working. So it's always a good idea to make sure your code works. Okay, so the first part of the program, now let's get back to where the program is. Yeah, what is this right here? Write a program, randomly choose a number of sides. So do we all agree that part is done?
yeah.
Okay. Now, did we have to take this program and modify it? No. But since it's similar to what we want, we might as well. One person who did submit theirs this morning totally wrote the entire thing, but it works perfectly. So, I mean, you don't have to stick with this, but it's easier if you do, because there are some components that are already there. Okay. So Actually, you know, before I look at it, I'm going to go back here for a second. Let's find out what this program is really doing. Okay, so where does this program start? You know? Someone's got to know where it starts.
Was it the print, please enter values?
Well, where's the very first line of code that's executed? Not quite. Actually, the first line of code is random, you know, input random. But after that, define main and define count inputs are functions that are being declared. What happens is when we run this thing, the interpreter reads in those methods, but doesn't do anything with them yet. It's kind of like, you seen Matrix? You all see Matrix. You know, they load in a new capability, like to fight or something. We just loaded in a new capability of counting inputs. Okay, that's what we're doing here. We're bringing in the capability to do something. We're not doing anything with it yet. But at the very bottom, right here, we start our program, main. It's called main. Doesn't have to be called main. You could call it, you know, Fruit Loops for all I care. But the reason the guy picked main is a lot of other programs like Java require main. So start the program at the very bottom. Just remember, everything you're going to call has to be already predefined. That's why normally the starting of it is always at the very bottom in Python. That's pretty. It's kind of weird the way that works, but it makes sense because this is not a compiler. This is an interpreter. It interprets every line, so it can't, you know, do something if it doesn't know about it. Okay, so we're going to go up to main. So main says counters equals an assignment operator. Count inputs. Now we already know we got a random number now. So that runs down here to count inputs. Now we got some comments here. Reads a sequence of die tosses values between 1 and sides. I can't read the rest. Inclusive. Okay, and counts how frequently each of them occurs. Param size is the die's number of sides. Return a list whose if element, okay, contains the number times the value I occurred in the input. The element 0 is unused. So now let's look at what that actually does. So this is called a function header. We know it's a function because we're defining it. There's our name. This is called an argument or a parameter. It really depends on the language you're referring to. I think they're called arguments here. So that is going to hold the number of sides. So where did that side come from? Anyone know? She knows. Right here at the top. Because remember we called count inputs. So count inputs, this is our method header here. This is our call to it. So this variable came from whatever's inside of these parentheses. Oh, so that random number gets passed down to the function called count inputs. And when I receive that random number, I'm going to call it size. Could I have done it differently? Sure. If you want to make it easier to understand, you could have just done sides. And I could have taken this out of here. Whatever way is easier for you. Okay. That would work as well. So I'm defining sides is equal to a random number, then I'm passing sides. So if that makes it easier for you to understand, I'm fine with it either way. It should still work, unless I mistype something again. No, we're still good there. Okay. So you see the difference in the way I just did it? But in my opinion, by doing this right here, we're actually wasting a teeny tiny bit more memory. Because we're taking this random number and assigning to a variable that we're just passing it right here. Meaning y. Okay? But either way, it's totally acceptable. So sides now is passed to here. Now let's talk about this here for a second.
That's fair.
All right. This, the square brackets in Python, anytime you see a square bracket, that means list.
Okay.
Just means it's a list. You see parentheses with a comma, that's a tuple. We're going to get there, but this is just a list. So this says counters. Now counters has not been defined yet, so it means it's something new. Counters is equal to this. This is a list initialized to 0. Okay? Just like, let me bring up a new shell somewhere. Okay. If I said counter 2, Can't do that. Okay, now I should be able to type counter. It tells me there's a value of 2. I could have also done it like this. Could have done, 5. If I type counter again, what this is telling me is this is declaring a list called counter that holds the value 2. Not the size of it, but just that's an element of it. So when you type counter, it tells you that's the contents of the list. Here it says define counter with 2 elements, a 2 and a 5. So you'll see when I run it, it's 2 and 5. And here if I said counter, oops, 0, it should give me what? What do you think? When I'm giving it, now it's what that statement did was say, what is in position 0 or element 0?
Okay, I understand.
A 2.
The zeros.
So if I want to see the 5, what do I got to do?
1.
So that's how you can access it. Very simple to do there.
But what if you do a large amount? Like, say you have 2 through 30.
Okay.
How is there an easier way to put that in the brackets than 2, 3, 4, 5?
If only there was. Okay. See this right here? Let's take this line right here. Let's go back over to the other window. If I can find it. So I'm going to go back over here. Now I'm going to say, so what did that do?
The first element multiplied by
Sorry.
3.
You put it as counters.
That says, create me a list called counters with the first element 0 and do it 30 times. Just like we did up here, where we said create me counters with the first element number 2. We said, first element 0, but do it 30 times. So it added all of those. And you could do it inside of a loop, so you could add 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way through. Actually, let's do that. That'll be cool. I need to get, I can't see my screen. Okay. Say for I in range, say 50. Okay, so far so good? Everybody with me? I know you can't see this in the back. Shady's having to basically stand up on her chair. Okay, so if I said counters equals I, I don't know how this is going to work. Let's just do 10. Let's see. This will be a good experiment. Okay, now let's see what's in counters.
How?
So it went to the range. Okay, come on. Trying to figure out how I want to do this.
How are you able to make additional spaces? Was it like shifting or something?
Additional spaces.
You know how you got the second line counters?
Oh, because I put this colon here, it automatically indents the next line.
Okay.
Yeah, automatically does. What this did is it went to the end of my loop and then made something that holds the number 49. I'm going to try this again. Yeah, so it's adding 5 to 49 each time.
That is not included.
No, it's not incrementing. How can I do this? Oh. Actually, this will become very handy. Okay, I just made a list. Okay, you agree with that?
Yep.
It does
No
nothing.
values.
There's really no values in it. Okay, so I'm going to bring this. And now I can say counters dot append I. Remember append? We learned append on Monday.
Yeah, that's how you add values to a list.
There we go. So this right here says create me a list called counters. Just a list with nothing in it. So when I type counters, it basically says you got an empty list. it defined the data type, but didn't put anything in it. Y'all good with that? Then I said do something for 50 times, 0 through 49. And each time, what do I do? I want to take that list, and I want to add to it. Counters, dot append. What do I want to append each time? I. So I was going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, all the way through 49. And there you go. I could potentially take this again. What do you think it's going to do this time?
Multiply every one of the values by 50.
Now, the question is it going to replace the 0 through 49? Or is it going to add to it? So is it going to replace those, or is it going to be, you know, the number after 49?
I feel like it would be the number double. Well, it's 50.
Well, what's going to happen is, since we're still in the same Python session of our shell here, the list already has elements in it. So it's going to add new values to it. Let's find out. Yep, there it goes.
Yeah, it's double.
So it had the first 49 through here. That's what we had before. Then I'm telling it I times 2. So 0 times 2 is 0. 1 times 2 is 2. So now we're going to add all the rest of those up. 98. So you can append forever. And this becomes handy because in this program, you need to keep adding the rolls of the dice. Okay?
So if, like, you know, how we did the side 6, 12, for this, would it be like 50, 60, we'll only do 50 through 60? Or does it always start at
Well,
1?
that was when working with a random number. Remember, we were picking a random number between 6 and 12.
Okay.
Okay, if we wanted, I mean, you could do that. Like,
Or
let's
if we're
go back
making
up
a
here.
list of like only 30 through 50, how would you do that?
With just the numbers 30 through 50 in it? Okay, let's wipe out my list. Bring this back down here. Now my list is gone. My beautiful list. So now I'm going to go up here. I'm going to type 30. Now if I want to through 50, what do I need to put it? 50 or 51?
51.
51, because that's the year. There you go, 30 through 50.
Okay.
What I told it was, remember when working with for loops, you can specify one number will be the ending value. If you specify two numbers, it'll be starting and you know, ending minus above 1. So it starts at 30 and goes 1 less than this. So 30 or 50. Now we could wipe it out again. I want to change this. Hold on, I got to do something else first. Okay, I'm going to bring this down again.
There we go.
Okay, now we're going to randomly pick a number between 6 and 12. That time I had 9. Let's try it again. I'm going to wipe this out each time. That time that's 6. What this code did was, okay, I cleared out my counter, so the list is now blank. I says for a range, random integer, so in other words, it's going to give me a random number between 6 and 12. So that's going to be my range. So in this last case, it was 6. Then it appends them. So basically what y'all are going to have to do. Okay. Kind of see how that works? Maybe?
It's becoming clear.
Become clear as mud? Okay. Now, how can we tell to print out how many sides we'll be using? We already know the other part. So we already know the number of sides. So how can I possibly print out how many sides we're using?
Times will be using side plus sides.
Could I just do it right up here?
Yeah.
Do it anywhere. Why not right here? Print. We will be using, let's spell using right. Think. I mean, is that hard or what? Now let's run this. We're using 8 sides. Oops. Let's get out of it and run it again. Yes, kill it. Go ahead and just do that. That time it's using 9. Yes, kill it. That time it's using 9 as well. Do it again. That time it's using 8. So it is working. So I'm using 11. So far so good. Everybody see how that works? So, I mean, when you work on these programs, you really need to go piece by piece. Because you see, we got the first 2 bullets done now. Do you agree those work perfectly? No problems? Yes? Everybody with me?
Mm-hmm.
Now roll the dice a random number of times between 200 and 500, producing values from 1 up to the number of sides. Ay, ay, ay. How could I possibly do that? So we need roll the dice a random number of times. So we need, how can I do that part, that first part right here?
Random 200.
So I could do, let's bring up a shell again. All right, so let's look at this. Roll the dice. So we're getting part random. I'm just doing it in the shell, so I can, not in the program. Roll the dice a random number of times. So we're going to just call this one roll equals between 200 and 500. So what do I need to put in there?
200 and 501.
Is it 501 or 500 with random? 500 with random. The loop with a range, you got to go one more. So that should give me a number between 200 and 500. See that? Easy enough there? Let's see what roll was again. So I ran the second time. Now I got 221. So what is this 221 or this 297? What is it? I mean,
That's how many times you rolled the dice.
that's right. So I sat there and I just rolled the dice 221 times. That's what that's doing for us. Okay. So what I could do is just take this part of the code here. And not that one. Let's go over here. Where can I possibly put that thing? Should I put it at the top? Should I put it inside? I tell you, I think we need to do it inside. I'm just going to do it right in here. Because see, this section right here. This section right here is the one that's like asking you to enter the number each time. Okay. Watch. Let me run this program. So when I run this, I'm enter 5. What's this? Heck. Hold on.
Wow.
Okay, I had the shell up and running already. So 5 and 8, 9, 1, 2. So that part of the code is what's happening each time. It's like, let me run one more time. 5, 5, oops, 6, 8, 5. So obviously we got 5 3 times. So that part of code right there that's asking me please enter a value, that is the side that's coming up each time the dice is being rolled. You agree? So if I roll the dice and I get a 6, or in this case a 5, 5 came up 3 times. So what I need to do is this section right here needs to go away. I don't want that anymore. But rather than just delete it all, I'm going to comment it out. Okay. But before I do that, I want to put that other code I was working on up here. Remember that roll thing? Because that's going to be the number that I rolled, or how many times I'm going to roll. How about, I'm going to call something better. Num times to roll. Does that sound better?
Sure.
Okay, I just like variables to me. Roll the dice a random number of times. So num times to roll is that number now. I'm gonna say print num times to roll. Now I'm gonna comment out, yeah, I'll comment this out right now. Comment it out, all that. I think I can comment out right there. Just want to see if this next part's working. Okay, I'll be using 7 sides. Yes.
How do you do that mass humming thing?
Oh, let me show you. You highlight what you want to do. Go format, comment out region.
Can't you just do control alt read too?
Yeah, you can do Control Alt 3 to comment, and then Control Alt 4 to
Remove it all.
Oh, look. How about you don't need control? It's just alt.
Yeah,
Let's see.
it doesn't do that. I promise you, because it'll delete it, and you have to go back, and then so Control Alt. I promise you, it's Control Alt.
Alt 3.
Okay, well, I have to use Control.
I wonder why. That's weird.
If it messes up, just hit Control Z.
There you go. Huh, I don't know. Is yours deletes it too?
Uh-uh.
So yours works fine. It's just hers.
But she's gonna need to have an Alienware.
Yeah, ours
Ah.
are different.
Ah, okay, yeah. It also could be a newer version of Python. Are you running 6.3.1?
362.
So your
3.16.
newer version might be better. I mean, or it might have that.
I'm running 3.7 right now.
So does yours, do you have to do control on yours too?
I can try.
No, for 3.7, it's you just hold all.
It's just that 2 version. Okay. So that's going to tell me how many times I rolled the dice. So what do we need to do with that? What do we need to do with that? Now we know how many times we're going to roll. So it says roll the dice a random number of times between 200 and 500. Finished. Now we know that, producing values from 1 to the number of sides. What does that mean? How can I produce a number between 1 and the number of sides?
1 and the number of sides.
I want to pick a number between 1 and the number of sides. Say this is a 7-sided dice. I want to pick a number between 1 and 7. How can I do that?
Rand int 1.
Rand int. Wow. Okay, so we're going to use rand int again. So what do you want to call this variable? It's going to be producing values from 1 to the number of sides. So it's going to be what we actually rolled that time. So we can call this one roll.
Both sides.
Roll equals random.rand int. How many sides we got?
9 times 2 roll.
What? How many sides are there?
So you're saying 7, so it'd be 1 to 8.
We don't know. I mean, I don't want to hard code that.
Okay.
According to my program, how many sides are there? Sides, exactly. I mean, it's literally right here. I brought it in. So this should pick a random number.
Between 1 and the number of sides.
Now let's just, I mean, you don't have to print all this stuff out. But by printing this over and over, what's that doing for me?
You can see all
I
the
can see that
information.
it's doing something. I hate when you do something you can't tell. Okay, so I printed 279 and a 7. Okay. So 482 and a 5. Now, what does this 5 represent?
Both sides.
The individual roll that time.
Yeah.
Which is between 1 and 6 in this case. See that? Have I see that?
Mhm.
So I want to make sure that's working right. How could I'll put that number a bunch of times.
While
I could do a while loop, but I hate while loops.
or for.
A for loop, very good answer. For x in range what?
Roll.
We could do it for the number of times that we roll, comma,
Num
num
times 2.
times to roll. See how this fits together so easily? Now let's see what it does. Hold on.
Nice.
Not quite right. What's wrong with it?
It's not adding it together.
What did I do wrong?
It's the same value.
It's not incrementing.
How do I fix it? I don't want it to increment. I want a different number
You
each time.
put roll The roll random in.
Take this
And then
line here,
for loop.
put it inside my loop maybe? Like,
Yeah, 'cause you only
there?
have once.
Yeah, because it would be the same value each time.
wow. It's doing something.
So. Took, okay, that one. Right up that.
Wow, that was higher. You know what? This is too many numbers. Just for sake of testing, I'm going to change this to 10 to 15. Okay? I just want it to be less. So we got 8 sides.
But you have a 12.
12 is the number of times we're going to roll the dice. So we're going to get a number between 1 and 8 12 times. So we got, let's count these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
So you
Works
should-
perfectly.
You should concatenate like something rolls.
So maybe something in front of that, like maybe X. Like that. That was easy. Okay. What did I do? Okay, what I did was, remember, this 13 is how many times we're going to roll the dice.
Okay.
So then each time it rolled, started from 0 to 12, I just output what it was. See how easy it was to get the number in front of it? You're like, how did you?
Yeah, that was.
You still have a 12 that's being rolled, but you have 11 sides.
Well, hold on. What are you talking about? 10 numbers. Now we're going to roll it 10 times,
12.
but my sides are between 1 and 9. So that's correct.
Yeah, I could have sworn I saw a 12.
Yeah, it was a 12
one
at the
time.
top.
No, it was at the bottom of
I don't
that,
believe you.
that list.
You're dreaming.
I could have sworn I saw a 12.
You're dreaming.
rolled one time. I have 11
Let's
sides.
do it again. 'Cause this
Yeah.
time we should have.
Yeah, see,
So
you have
it's-
11 times, but you're only using 10 sides.
Oh, yeah.
That's my, I was about to say.
No,
'cause-
these are the numbers. The numbers on the right. Okay, this 11 right here, from 0 to 11 is the number of times we're rolling, not the side. The side is these.
Oh,
So like the 11th time.
Okay.
Right. This is actually the 12th time I rolled it, because that's one. You know what? I'll make this easier since you're
okay, yeah.
so confused.
Picture
Yeah,
Hold on. Michael's fine. I know exactly what it's doing. How many rolls?
Yeah, you know exactly what it's doing.
Now I'm going to do this. So you guys are happy. There. Is that better? How many rolls? 15 rolls. Now, we can make this a little bit better, so you're not confused. I'm going to say roll.
Not even X plus 1.
That's not what I want.
I think that added a placement, so it doesn't start at 0.
Oh, yeah. There's going to be 13 rolls. Roll 1 was a 10, roll 2 was a 7, roll 3 was a 4, and so on and so forth until roll 13 was an 8. Boop. So, see how easy this is? Come on, there's nothing new here. Nothing new.
I tried to make it into a list.
Darn it. Gotta make it into a list.
To keep track of how many times it lands on a certain number.
Because we need to know that. We need to output that. Because obviously it ain't working down here. I got some zeros down there.
Yeah.
Do we need to know that stuff that's highlighted?
No.
How many rolls?
I'm just trying to like see what this is doing. They're saying like there's so
We
many
need to keep
wrong
track of it, but do we need to output it on the screen?
No.
No. But I like to output it while I'm working on it, just to make sure it's actually doing what it's supposed to be doing. Okay, you know that whole thing, this, every slide talks about testing? Okay, we rolled it 13 times. Did it actually roll 13 times? Yes. Did it roll a number between 1 and 11? Yes. So it's a great way of testing things. So what if I want to increase this to 20 to 25? Let's make sure that works. Okay, so now we did 20, which was the lowest of the ones. And there's only 6 sides, so the number should be between 1 and 6. Yeah, it's working beautifully. Y'all with me? Run it again. Just in case that 20 was a fluke and I screwed something up. Oh, 20 again. Uh-oh, that's not good. Try the third time. 22. Okay, good. Fine with that. So I was grading a guy's program. It was last semester. They had to randomly pick a color between like 5 colors and make the screen a certain color. I must have ran this program 10 times. It was green every single time. I'm like, so I went up there and says, you know, something's wrong with your random. I don't know what's going on, but it's green every time. So the student messaged back, no, it's working fine. I'm like, what are the odds it's green 10 times in a row? And I'm like, wait a minute. Technically, it could be green. And sure enough, it was green. I ran next time, I got red, yellow, blue. I'm like,
Try that at a different time.
I just 10 times in a row. I'm like, no, it couldn't have been that 10. Like, I mean, so I had 20 like 2 or 3 times in a row there. It's like,
100%.
so far so good. Everybody with me here? Okay. Now, I realize it's simple while I'm sitting here explaining. But if you look at whatever I tell you, I try to write these. When I write these things, I literally write it as I do it. Like a number 26 and $1, you know? I try to write it one at a time, so you should be able to at least somewhat follow along. Now, this last part here. Store them in a list. How do you possibly store something in a list?
And would you append like number of rows or?
So what do we want to call our list that holds this? You want to call it number of rows?
I call it a list of rows.
I called it roll list.
Called
List
Rolo.
of-
They still make Rolos?
List of roles, that sounds good.
Roll rows.
Okay.
List of rolls. What else do I need to do there?
Equals brackets.
Just a bracket?
No, equals bracket.
Oh, equal bracket. Okay. Let's make sure we didn't screw it up. Feel good. So where the heck am I going to put stuff in there?
For loop.
For loop. You should-
Another for loop?
No, in the for loop.
Oh, in this for loop right here?
Every time you roll, you should append it to the list.
So do it right here?
No,
No, not there, huh? How about right there?
I mean, I guess.
What?
Append. Roll.
Is that it? Let's try it. Still didn't put nothing out down there.
Yeah, print it.
Oh, I need to print it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move, actually, we'll leave that one there.
That out.
Just going to see if there's anything in it. And if it worked correctly, it should be a 9, it should start with a 9741143. 9741143. Wow, it's working perfectly.
Wow.
Let me lower this number so y'all can see it on the screen. Oh my God.
List of roles, not fun. Not for fun.
If you put it outside of
So if we did this correctly, each time it rolled is 7 to 193. It should have been added. 7 1 9 3. 7 1 8 1 1 1. That's not fair. There's no 2s. Or 4s. Or 5s. Or 6s. What the heck? That's
A loaded dice.
Hey,
yeah, it's a
okay.
loaded dice, that's for sure.
So far, I got some errors on your time.
Yeah, not a lot of errors.
So, what do you think? So far, so good? Now that we know list of roles is working, can I get rid of some of these print statements?
That one is.
We could also get rid of this one, couldn't we? Yeah, how many times we're gonna roll. We don't need to output that information. I mean, what's it say it's
In the
supposed to?
program, it says you have to have ran for a certain amount of rounds.
So, oh, okay,
Yeah, that's
ran
why.
for a number of rounds. Okay, so we do need to output that.
Is that how many rolls would be ran for, roll, and then rounds?
Like that?
Yeah. Could be.
Awesomeness.
Oh, because value's here.
Yeah.
You have to work.
No. Because that's what we're doing right here. This is gonna work on value, so this needs to be.
And what is it outputting here? Oh, that's that little table.
Yeah,
How are we gonna do that? How did they do that before? They return counters. What the heck is counters?
If we change the roles or something.
You don't know?
She says it's a list. Yes, because this one put out here.
there's just a print statement.
Yeah, so that's.
The list? What's list? And the only list I have?
Oh, he completely did that one out.
Like that
You
maybe?
need to put-
Oh! It's amazing. But is that correct?
No, it's missing the first one.
There's something wrong.
It's missing the first one.
Run it again. Make sure it wasn't a fluke.
It's missing the first one.
Wait, so you did the
One.
what did you do?
Well, remember there's 11 sides. So side 1 through 11, which is good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
Unless it's
10,
more
11,
than-
12. But we ran it for 12 times. So what's wrong?
Skipping the first.
So we got the 11 sides though.
The first one.
First one's right there, it's a 6.
No, missing the first one once.
There's also another problem. See what it is? Look at that screen real closely. How many times did I roll a 9? I rolled a 9 10 times. So out of 12 rounds, I rolled a 9 10 times.
It's printing the list.
Let me count. 1. There's a problem. Did I roll a 10 or a 9 10 times or a 10 7 times?
Yeah.
That's just what you actually rolled on that.
Those are the rolls, not anything else.
Mhm.
Then we should give up, throw it away.
Okay.
You get the counter.
As long as we're not counted off for it.
Come on. There's always a little trickiness to all of these. And the answer is right here.
I definitely didn't do the easy way of counting how many times something was rolled, but I did it. That was the whole thing, bro.
We have to do it. That's the part we need right there. We need to count how many times they're rolled.
Oh, God.
So what did this do? It returned the list of rolls.
Okay, well, that's that part.
Okay. So when we called count inputs right here, which was right here, counters is now containing what? It's really the list of rolls, isn't it? Isn't that what we got? You know, I'm going to comment him out for a second. Okay. So there's our list. Now, I'm going to do something here real quick. I'm going to get rid of this print statement. I'll show you why in a second. Okay, so that's what we got so far. Because when we called count inputs, really the name doesn't even mean anything now, but really I'm just print out So there's our rolls. Ran for 12 rounds. Oh, I need to fix this over here. I should be able to fix this now. How many were you supposed to do? 200?
It's a 500.
Okay, it ran for 457 times. Out of those 457 times, the numbers should all be between 1 and 6. They look correct to you?
Yes.
All right. So what do we need to do? Obviously, whenever we received this list of rolls, is not the correct thing to use in this print counters because we do not have a 373-sided dice. How many sides is our dice?
6-12.
Was it 64 in this case?
6-12.
6 to 12. So that is wrong. So what we need is what do we need to do to fix this?
So we do second list, and then we just add to the values every time it gets that value.
Hmm.
We could have a second list, perfect. But where would I do that? Do I need to do it after this line? After this line? Where do we need to do that?
Would you need to go down in the count input statement?
We could do it inside of count inputs. Could do it anywhere. I mean, so really this is a list of roles. So we need to, what type of data structure would we use to do what you just said we need to do? We need to create a list that does what?
Would count how many things would pop up. Like how many ones rolled, how many twos rolled, how many threes rolled.
Hold on, let me comment this one out again. That's exactly what, you're correct, by the way. So there's what we got. So for each of the 382 rounds, we rolled the numbers between 1 and 6. We need to do what now? We need to count how many ones
Through 6s are.
and how many 2s and how many 3s and how many 4s and how many 5s, so on and so forth. Okay, we need to count that stuff. How could we possibly do that? So
I'm not entirely sure because we haven't talked about this, but could you do a list within a list?
yes, you can.
Yeah.
You can do a list within a list.
It's
So-
not what I did.
What we need to do is we need to, how big does this next list have to be?
Up to the sides.
Up to the sides, exactly. So we need to create a list, say, we'll call this one, what's the name for it? So it's not the individual roles.
Now,
It would be 6 sides, right?
It's, how about roles per side?
Yeah.
That sound about right?
Count of sides.
Roles per side. There we go. We got a new list called roles per side. I'm going to pass that over here just because I want to. Now let's see what we get. We got absolutely nothing. Can we not do it to print it?
You
I don't think
create-
it's formatted correctly.
Oh, because we didn't do anything. Our list is still blank, isn't it?
Yes, space between. Oh, no, that's sorry, that's not there. That's,
So I can really get rid of this one for the moment.
Print nothing.
Okay, don't print most of
okay, so yeah, that's now.
Why isn't it doing anything?
Because there's nothing in here.
Well,
Nothing gets put into rolls per side. It's just
right,
there.
we created a list that's blank. So down here, we're told to print nothing. And it did just that. So how can we now take the list of the roles and create that? So that list, how big does it need to be?
The number of sides.
So I could technically initialize it to
Sure.
maybe.
Time sides, yes, that makes sense.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's looking better. But there's one more thing we have to do.
Okay, now I got a crap ton of
Let's see, look here. How many sides we got?
9.
9 sides.
Not only 8 values.
Oh, add one.
Plus 1. Why are we adding 1? That's because their stupid print counter routine down here
What does our
requires it. Now, I don't like that, but see what they're doing is they start their range at the length of counters. I'm going to change this to a 0. I think.
Yeah.
Does that work?
+1.
Hold on, let's see if it works. Yes, solved the problem. No longer have to add 1 to it.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all see what I did?
Yeah.
Let me undo what I did.
I don't have it in my code.
Okay, down here in print counters, we're saying, you know what? Print out the values from 1 to the length of the counters, because they added 1 to size. But I don't like doing that. Let me explain why. Our list always starts at 0. What they're saying is don't use the first one. So next time I buy a car, I want a car with 5 wheels, but I'm only going to use 4. Technically, that's what they do now. Just get a spare tire. I mean, it's just a waste. Why would you have a list that has an extra item you're not using? Why don't you just start at 0 instead of 1, and then when you're outputting the results, just put a +1 here. Now our list is the actual size. We're just outputting this number here. Instead of 0, it's just outputting a 1. Those are the correct values in them. All right, so we fixed that problem. We got one more problem up here, guys. What is it? Right here, before this guy. Between these 2 lines, we need something. What do we need? We still haven't populated this list at all.
I mean, we have, but it's just
It's populated with zeros.
not what we're.
How could we possibly populate that thing? What does it need to hold?
And use the whole data from list of roles.
So in other words, say we roll 8 times. Rolls per side is going to have 8 elements in it. Okay? And it's going to keep track of how many 1s, how many 2s, how many 3s, so on and so forth. Okay? So how could we do that? By the way, I'm not doing it for you. You have to do something on this on your own. Well, you're like, what?
No,
What?
it's fine. Makes sense. So
So, okay,
you have to get
logically, how could we do this?
You're gonna have to have the data from list of roles feed into roles per side, and then be
Okay,
able to.
so right now we have all this data right here. We know what was rolled.
You can do a for loop.
Okay, we have this stored already, and obviously we have one that's stored with zeros in it. How are we going to get this into there?
For loop.
Actually, let me redo that one real quick here. I'm going to print out, just so we can see both of them. Okay, so there's all of our roles, and there's where it needs to end up. So we need to go through this whole big old list of numbers, and every time I see a 1, what do I need to do with it?
Add it to the 1 list.
Add it to that 1 right there. Anytime I see a 2, I need to do what with it?
Add it to the
Add it to that one. I see a 3, add it to that one. 4, add it to that one. 5, add it to that one. 6, add it to that one. 7, add it to that one. 8, add it to that one. So how could we go through this list? What type of structure would we use?
For loop.
Some sort of loop.
For loop.
For loop.
The easiest.
So we could,
Why would
right
we
here
do
somewhere, say
Because you can use the X and it can.
for
you use it for
X
both the
in
placement
range.
of the first
What's my
one,
range now?
add it to the other list.
Roll. Or
List
For
of
X in
roles.
range, it would be roles per side.
Roles per side is that list.
List of roles.
Okay, list of roles, but not just list of roles. What do I need in my range? I can say list of roles, can I?
Because it's the
Maybe I
range
can.
of list of roles.
Let's try it. Nope, can't do that. I didn't think we could. Come on, what can we do?
Length.
Ah, length, very nice. You need to know the length, because range is a number, not a list. Wow, got out beautiful.
Is it?
Now, rather than print X, how can I print out what each value was?
Print row list bracket X, close bracket.
Like that?
Yeah.
Okay, that doesn't help.
Beautiful.
Perfect. Did exactly what we want. So we just made a list. We made a loop that went from 0 all the way up to the length of that list. Then we just have to put it on screen. We need to get rid of this print statement and do something with it. What do we need to do here? For each one, add 1 to element 0 of what? For each 2, add 1 to 1 of roll. Okay, we need to do this. You understand what we need to do? So now that we're going through this list, we have this loop here. Each time, so the first thing we're going to do, we're going to print out, like the first one with whatever number. Say we rolled a 5. Well, in this case, a 2. I have 2 on the screen. Let's see the number 2. I need to add 1 to an element of rolls per side. You have to figure that out. Can't do it for you. You can do it. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you turn in a program without this, you're going to get a 0 because you really didn't do much. You have to get this part working.
Mine works, but I did it a different way.
Oh, that's totally fine.
Okay.
I mean, you could write your program totally different for all I care. If yours works, you're fine. I think 5 or 6 people have already submitted it, so that's totally fine. But we already have a loop that's going through the list of rolls because we know every single thing we rolled, all 286 times. So we need to do something. And the way we access each of them is with this. That is how we access each element. Because remember, X starts at 0 and 1 and 2 and 3, all the way up to whatever, the length of this. So we say list of rolls X would be the first element, then the second element, then the third element, then the fourth element, then the fifth element. Somehow you need to keep track of that.
You do an if statement. I feel like that's a huge bunch of code.
I just feel like it should be a while loop. While it
Yeah,
is
only
one,
they had already
one,
done it for
while
us.
it's 2.
Only we have the answers.
Only it was already there in front of us. Didn't the other one do that?
Yeah.
So they already did it.
User input, user input is upper.
It's literally right there in front
The
of you.
counter.
Yeah.
So if value is over 1.
There's really one line.
Yeah, it's right here. It's this. It's this if value. Counters value.
It's there. That's why I didn't want to comment it out. It's there. You have to figure out which line it is and how to make it work.
It could be
Okay? Does this help at all? Remember, this is not going to run like this. I'm going to comment that out that way in case you happen to just copy my code. I know. It's kind of, I'm going to comment this whole thing out right now.
Until that.
Yeah, because until you put the other line in there, it's not going to run. So yeah, you need to fix this part. The part you need is right there. You just have to figure out how to put it in. The one thing you don't need to worry about is you don't need to check and see if they're valid because they are valid because we told it to only give us valid numbers.
Yeah.
So you can skip that if statement. You don't even need the if statement. All right? So it's up to you guys to figure this one out.
And we also need to have the list there in rows of 13.
Right. And we actually did that. Remember way in the back told us how to print until the end of the line? Remember comma, end, whatever? It's in this last chapter. You literally could just tell that with the 13, you know. Yes, you're right. You do need to do that. And it needs to come right after the other part. Because it prints all that out, then you need to print this.
So would that be underneath the print table
Yes,
at the very bottom?
yes. And how could you possibly make something happen 13 times? Or 12 times? Or 7 times?
That'd be likely.
Okay. If I say this is 287 long, I want to print the entire thing, but only 13 long. Okay. Now, way in the back, he told us how to do print, comma, end. Remember that? It's literally in the slides. You can look at it.
Yeah.
But what if? How can you check and see if it's printed the 13th time, or the 14th time, or the 26th time, or the
Mod,
Modulus.
modulus? Mod what?
mod 13.
Mod 13. Just say you have your counter loop going in there. If x mod 13 is equal to 0, you're divisible by 13. Then just have a print statement. Done. It'll print carriage return. Done. See, modulus is so handy for that. All right. So you have 2 sections to figure out. You have to figure this part out and this part out. We technically got this one nearly finished. This first part. Okay.
So, I'm looking at the assignment sheet before you change something. Was the thing you changed to print out the first time each number was rolled using find? Oh, no, it's still there.
But now,
I just want you changed something before, but.
it was something little. Whatever it was.
I think he sent us an inbox message about something that changed.
Yeah, I changed something, whatever it was. It was something short. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, because you still have the thing print out the first time each number was rolled using find.
Oh, that's when I did put, that's right. I don't have it on the screen. Where's that one at? No, I removed it.
Yeah, it's right
Oh,
there.
there, no, it's right here. Print out first number you send of the roll using find. That's very simple to do. Figure it out. It's not hard. Because literally find is there. You just want to know the first time number 1 is used, number 2 is used. So, and I don't have that on my printout.
So it's gonna be like another.
Yeah, just have it either above or below, or actually it's going to have to be, it could be right here. I mean, it could literally be after this line, but really if you look at the code, it needs to be, because we have to have list of roles, we have to have this is, okay, it has to be after this even, we have to know after this one. So it needs to be, wait a minute, no, I'm in the wrong place. Here's where I want to be. Probably right in here would be a good place to do it.
Oh, up on
Yeah, up there somewhere. I mean, you could really do it. You could do it at the very end for all I care. The list of roles, you literally could use find to go through and find the first time of 1, what is done, first time of 2 or 3. Yeah. Okay. So I added that at the end because it was at the end of the chapter. Okay. We wrote pretty much all of it. I'm going to stop the recording.